Mary Kane, president of Sister Cities International, and one of the things that we know at Sister Cities that you need is the economic development piece of Sister Cities. We do great cultural exchanges, student exchanges, but in the end you need to actually have a return on your investment for your cities. So we encourage everyone to keep the data that you have, how many visits, how many exchanges, because then when you have to go to your city council or your mayors, you actually have something tangible to hand to them and say, this is what we've brought to the city. So I offer our help at Sister Cities International to help you do that.
Taking all that, there's lots going on, there's lots of interesting stuff, there's lots of pledges, there's lots of emphasis on economic, there's lots of things there. But I'm just thinking, and I'm throwing this at a panel in the first instance, standing as a cynic, I'm taking the opposite, this is called being a debater. I mean, I could say, if I look at this room, really Sister Cities is for privileged people. I don't see too many people from disadvantaged communities. Is it only the privileged people take part? How do we engage a broader audience? Is it local authorities only? I mean, I'm thinking in Ireland, one of the weaknesses is it's driven out of our local authority, whereas in the States you seem to have a different mix in terms of community, different citizen participation and local authorities. So how do we make this more real? Real for the people. If I go into Dublin today and say, who knows where Twinned with San Jose, what are they going to say? How many people are going to say we are? And secondly, if I asked, what are the benefits? How many people are going to realize them? So how do we make it real? Paul made some suggestions, but what would you suggest? Críona?
First of all, you're assuming that everyone here is from a privileged background. You don't know that. That's a big assumption. I can tell you I'm not. When I leave the mansion house, I'm going back to a house where there's probably 10 of us in a 2-bedroom house because of the housing crisis. We all have something to bring, and just because you are from a privileged background doesn't mean that you can't represent those who are disadvantaged. One of the really interesting things that happened when we went to Fatima was that the people that Mayor Alfaro met were able to very much relate to him. And then when we met with the NGOs and the community development groups, Mayor Alfaro said something that he did in his city that absolutely just blew them all away, in that he said that he had a participative budget. That's a policy that he has. And they're all going, what's a participative budget? And what it is that when you pay your taxes, you go onto another queue. Now, Mayor Alfaro probably explained this better, but I was very impressed by it. You go into another queue and you vote for what you would like your taxes to be spent on. There's a certain percentage of funding in the budget that's put aside for what the citizens want the money spent on. Now, the people in the room speaking to Mayor Alfaro absolutely hung on to this. 2 community groups phoned me back the next day to see if they could get more information on it, because what they were going to do was that they have a budget as well that's given to them by the local authority and central government. A certain amount of it has to be spent on certain things, on criteria, but there's a certain amount that's miscellaneous. And what they are going to do for the first time ever, they are actually going to go out into the community and ask the community what would they like this 5% of the community budget spent on. That was something that we would not have learned had they not have sat down and actually listened to what happened in Guadalajara. Also in Guadalajara, and a lot of the politicians in the room won't like this, and the community and the citizens in the room loved it, is that mayor has given a guarantee that midway through his term that he would put himself before the people again on a voluntary basis, not dragged to the polling station and put posters up. On a voluntary basis, he would put himself before the people to see if they are still happy with what he has delivered, and if they aren't, well then he would just step aside. They are really progressive forward things. But another thing that I've learned in all of the city-cities twinnings is that the biggest disadvantage that Dublin City has is that we do not have a directly elected mayor in this city. And most of the councillors from Dublin in this room will tell you that that is a huge disadvantage. I am a Lord Mayor. Yes, it is. It's a huge. But nobody in Ireland has a directly elected mayor. Dublin is the economic engine of this island, and therefore we should have a directly elected mayor with devolved powers. That's why I think the other cities in this room can agree on things, can set up certain amount of budgets, but we don't have that. So we're really looking. We did get an opportunity, but we failed. We fell off the horse at the first hurdle. So. Okay.
Any other views on that, Enrique?
Can I use
sure.
the help of the
Absolutely.
moderator? En México,
In Mexico?
Eh,
I'm
cuando-
sorry, in Mexico. Sorry. Thank you.
en México cuando un político o un gobernante
When a politician or a member of the government
viaja a un país a
Travel.
intercambiar ideas y a conocer otra realidad,
travels to another country to exchange ideas and to see the reality of that country,
normalmente es muy criticado por la gente, porque la gente piensa que viajar a otro país, a otra ciudad, es gastar el dinero de los ciudadanos.
in general, the population will criticize enormously because they feel that these politicians is traveling abroad and are just spending their money.
Creo que lo que preguntaba Peter tiene que ver con la capacidad que tengamos los gobernantes para comunicarle a la gente lo que significan estas visitas y lo que podemos obtener como ciudades en el largo plazo del intercambio de experiencia con gente que ha logrado grandes cosas en otros lugares del mundo.
And just to answer Peter's question, I think what is very vital is that the representatives will convey why to the population, will explain, will they make them conscious, why are they traveling abroad? They are representing them, and the idea is to improve the quality, if you like, of life.
Y soluciones de largo plazo, sobre todo.
And to have solutions at a very long term.
Yo creo que la clave, y lo he intentado en este viaje, está aquí.
And I think the key factor, and I had tried during this trip, and it's this.
Todo el viaje, cada reunión, cada experiencia, la hemos compartido a través de las redes sociales, directo con la gente.
Yeah, he has experienced, and each trip and each experience, he has shared this with people through the network.
Y los comentarios, la interacción con la gente en las redes sociales ha sido extraordinaria.
And the comments and the interaction with the people has been fantastic.
Hoy en Guadalajara no hay críticas para el alcalde por su viaje.
Currently, there is no criticism because of the mayor having traveled to.
Al contrario,
Whatever.
Lo que hoy la gente en Guadalajara sabe es la relación que estamos construyendo con otras ciudades del mundo y se siente orgulloso de ello.
On the contrary, what Guadalajara is aware is the building factor which they are doing with the rest of the world, and they are very proud of it.
That's it.
Gracias. Joe.
If I just wanted to address the question, Peter, you asked about whether there was a sort of egalitarian, a hierarchy of people here. You're absolutely right, that is the case, and that's because we're either elected representatives, mayors, who've been elected into those positions to do something, and we get judged by what we do. What I said when I made my comments at the beginning was about how sister cities has to develop. I would like to see sister cities. And I could sit here for an hour and tell you about the social policies that we've introduced in Liverpool, where we've got huge problems with derelict housing, how we've give houses away for £1, $1, give them away to people to refurbish and bring back into use, how we are building 10,000 new homes with no deposit required for a mortgage, how the council is working to do that. It's creating jobs, it's creating wealth, it's creating new opportunities. So I've got lots of things that we do in the city that we've, what I call and use the phrase filched. Filched is another way of saying stolen from somebody else. And that's the thing about good practice, isn't it? That's why I actually think that when our colleague from Dublin Council mentioned about seeing the front room and not the back room, that's exactly what we need to engage in. And I would like to see sister cities have a special, either at the annual conference or at a conference that is held, specific areas where we can share good practice. So whether it's working in culture, whether it's working in education, whether it's work in housing or public policy or transformation or regeneration or environment, that we share those ideas and you know, contribute with each other and collaborate with each other on how to do it. And that's, you know, my role as Mayor of Liverpool, to engage with others and to see what's going on in the world and to adapt them and change them for use in the city of Liverpool.
Perfect, thanks. Do you want to contribute anything,
Yes,
Rose?
I would pick up on that and say I think that that's one of the things that Sister Cities needs to probably, I would say, do a better job of, and that is really promote the best practices and the successes that have happened over the years with all of these relationships. Both because I think that then helps cities justify, because we have to justify when spending money to be part of this. So I think showing those tangible results and publicizing that, hopefully that comes out of these conferences so that people can say, these are problems that were solved by these kind of relationships. So San Jose is certainly one of the wealthiest areas in the country. You've definitely one of the most expensive places to go buy a house or rent an apartment. We have our set of problems as well as successes, trying to make sure that all of our kids have equal opportunities in education, that they get through high school and college, that there's a job that they can find. So, and then we have a homeless issue. So we struggle with lots of those kinds of issues and look to other cities too for ideas that they have. And you know, my colleagues and I have been very deeply involved in trying to create a more just situation, because not everybody in Silicon Valley is benefiting from having a high-paying job at one of the Silicon Valley companies. So we have to continually work to make sure that there's equal access and opportunity for everyone.
One other question I'm going to throw at you very briefly, just for a brief answer. And by the way, I'm not an accountant, and my bosses inside in Dublin City Council will tell you I'm probably the worst from an accountancy point of view. But measurement. A lot of people put store by measurement. Now, in your answers, I can see some of the answers to this. But what single thing do you think could be used to measure the success of a relationship between cities? What single area of measurement would you look for?
I think that's a difficult question in a sense. It depends on, for instance, what you intend from that relationship. For me, a relationship is about a plethora of different things. It isn't just, as I say, cultural exchange or economic exchange. It's about education. It's about a whole host of things. And I would just, you know, say that the way to test the relationship is the longevity of it, how long it lasts and how big it grows between you. But, you know, Liverpool has lots of sister relationships, lots of twinning relationships with Chinese, with Shanghai, with Kunming, with different cities within China. But it isn't about the quantity of how many people are there or how many sister relationships. It's about the quality of what we get out of it, the quality of what we give. That's how I would measure it.
Okay, not quantity, quality, longevity.
I would agree with quality, longevity, seeing the community really involved in our sister city relationship. It is the community that drives it. The city simply doesn't have the funding to provide all of this. It has to be driven by the community. I'm so excited that Kathleen Powell is here this time with CineQuest, one of the premier film festivals, I'd say definitely in California, probably the US. And just being able to reach out and have new leadership and folks that haven't been involved come aboard because they see the value is really, really critical.
Anyone else on the measurement? Okay. Folks, I think this has been really valuable. It kickstarts our debates today. And later on in the day, we're going to look at some of the practical stuff around business, education and youth, cultural exchange. I did say I was going to be provocative. I tried to do that. I can assure you I am a committed internationalist. Maybe not an appreciated one, but a committed one. And I think the future lies in how we integrate and connect with the world. So I want to thank our four panelists. I think they deserve a round of applause for setting us off in the right direction. And I want to thank all the participation that took place in the audience, and to tell everyone who pledged something, we have a note of your pledge. We'll be holding you to it. And the one single big idea that's come out of this session, which the Irish counties and cities need to sit down afterwards, and we've had very positive meetings in planning this and great support around the country, is this idea of setting up a network, an association, call it what you may, but a practical way of engaging collectively and showing that the Irish can do Sister City International better than the US can. Okay, I jest. May I ask our speakers to leave the panel? We're expecting President Higgins in a moment. We're going to do a little bit of a setup on the stage.